Ant-Man Quantumania, released last night. Easily the best Marvel movie since Spider-Man's No Way Home, the official start to Phase 5, introducing Kang as the villain. How is the movie? Let me tell you, starting off with the CGI, I found it to be pretty great, the CGI. There is certain moments where the background and the character, the lighting isn't exactly perfect, or rather the depth of field between the character and the green screen. And I wouldn't say it's obvious, but at certain frames, you could just sort of feel like they're not in the world, but they're rather in front of it. But aside from that, most of the movie CGI is believable. You do see the depth in there. You do sort of see that engagement, and it is believable. Shouts out to Marvel for stepping up in this department for such a big film, introducing their big bad. Because last thing we need is terrible CGI continuing on in one of the biggest phases. It's not going to be a good look, but I could confidently say CGI for the most part, great. One downside to the CGI will probably be with the character MODOK. It's just he's so awkward, his design, that whenever I find him to be in areas where there's a lot more light and a lot more CGI characters and action scenes going on, that's whenever you could sort of see the awkwardness of it. But whenever we're going into somewhere where there's a lot less light, a bit darker, less characters, that's where I feel the CGI really ain't that bad for him. It's pretty good. It's just he's so awkward looking that it looks as if it's worse than it is. That's the CGI breakdown. How is the art direction in this movie? Something that for the MCU, I'm always looking forward to. The Quantum Realm breathes personality. It breathes stylistically beautiful colors, vibrant colors, and everything from the sort of bacteria, the animals that we got going on inside the Quantum Realm, to even some of the locals, some of the humanoid life on there is oozing with personality on their skin. Everything from like the broccoli shaped character to the one with the rings, and even some of the other locals that are able to catch your eyes as the characters traverse through the towns, through the cities, is very well done. It's something reminiscent of Star Wars, to be real with y'all. Now, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I can't say here like what's one for one that took inspiration, but definitely gave off that Star Wars environment. So CGI, great. Art, phenomenal. Humor, something that MCU has just been ever since, I want to say, No Way Home. In certain moments, it's just too much. We got to take it a bit more seriously. And this being the Ant-Man series, I was a little bit like, I'm not looking forward to it, but they handled it pretty well. This is the most serious Ant-Man movie. This is one where the humor, when it does happen to come on, it doesn't overstay itself. At times it could be pretty witty, does like a little full circle, and it's done in a tasteful way where it's able to sort of relax the tension rather than, all right, we're in a comedy sketch, come on guys, we got to entertain the crowd. It usually happens whenever it's like, wow, this helped us breathe a bit before it continues on the more darker moments throughout the movie. So the humor, great in here as well. Pacing, I found it to be just about average. I believe the first half, it has this weird, I wouldn't even want to say trope, this weird moment where whenever they talk about Kang, whenever it comes time for, what's her name, Michelle or Janet, whenever it comes time for Janet to speak about Kang, to speak about her history with Kang and what exactly she experienced in the quantum realm, for the most part, she avoids it to a certain point inside. Like about 40 minutes into the movie, she finally decides to speak up about it, which is weird because whenever they're flying through the quantum realm, whenever they're trying to find answers as far as what's going on, why is there life here? Why are we avoiding someone? It's always, I can't explain it right now. We need to keep going. I can't explain it right now. But right now we need to worry about this. And it just sort of ruins the pacing because we could have got some key narrative points early on that we don't necessarily need rehashed later, and we could just get it out the way. Instead of saying it's him, say who Kang is. What does he do? Because ultimately it isn't like you're gonna leave here without telling anybody who Kang is or not meeting him. Like to the point where if she is that scared, me as the viewer, I'm looking at it like, yo, why are they trying to treat him like Voldemort? Like, you can't say the name. Like, yo, say who Kang is, say what he does. That way everybody could understand the stakes going on from here. Pacing, aside from that certain moment, throughout the rest of the movie, I actually found to be pretty solid. And anytime Kang is on the screen, I'm telling you, time flies by. He soaks up every bit of your of your attention, and you sort of want a lot more, but you know, they're gonna hold it for a bit until we eventually get into Kang Dynasty. So from the pacing to tension, something that's very critical, especially when we're building up to such a grand villain. It holds up okay. The first half, again, due to sort of the runaround of Janet explaining who Kang is, sort of holds that back with the character she's with. And if I remember correctly, it's with Hank and of course their granddaughter Cassie. Cassie's with Scott Lang, my fault. But whenever it's Janet, Hank, and Hope, whenever the three of them are together on screen, that's when things are a little bit slow. But whenever it's everybody else like Scott Lang and Cassie, and whenever they're with Kang, pacing incredibly well done. Like on that end, whenever it comes to Kang and Scott, that's when I feel this movie is breathing and moving the most. Now, throughout this entire thing, everything from the dilemma to some of the relationships being established and when I say relationships being established, how we're going to carry their dynamics, I'm loving the conflict Scott Lang had to deal with in this movie with, all right, I understand that Kang is evil. Kang lets him pretty well know what he's about, telling him he's killed Thor and all of this. But do we go on the route to where, do I want to risk the universe to save my daughter? Or do I want to try to find a way out that I could get my daughter and save the universe? It's like a minor conflict that he does go through. However, because Kang does not keep his end of the bargain, I feel that tension that was being presented, that I found to be pretty fresh in an Ant-Man movie, was sort of diminishes it. And even towards the end, whenever we get the final battle, it wasn't until it was like one-on-one with Kang and Scott where I felt like legitimate tension, because even then, for whatever reason, I found the heroes were a bit more overwhelmingly powerful. Like, as much as I understand the thing with the ants towards a climax, they evolved like 1,000 years, got technologically advanced, they're super strong, and they sort of like, you know, just wrecked everything. I was like, this is, if this is the way it's being executed, I guess they at least try to make it make sense, but it just sort of made a lot of the tension sort of like, I felt this would have been a lot more like everybody is experiencing death right around the door, and we didn't exactly get that as much as I would have liked to. Now, as far as were there any plot twists, was there anything in here that sort of made you like, oh wow, unexpected? The unpredictability of this movie was whenever MODOK betrayed Kang and reduced his suit's powers, and that's how he got overpowered by the ants. And that's the only moment that really was a twist, and it wasn't done good. I mean, what was it? Cassie just told him, hey, stop being a dick. And he just like, he had a big brain moment, was just like, what the fuck? Like, yo, I don't want to be a dick. What? I'm a dick? Unbelievable. Why didn't nobody tell me? I would have just switched sides from the beginning if someone told me I was a dick. That's the legitimate reason he switched sides. So as far as unpredictability, that's one of those moments that was suffering. Now, after getting these subcategories out of the way, overall, how did I enjoy Ant-Man Quantumania? Scott Lang and Kang definitely steal the movie for me. I'm loving Cassie sort of getting this bit of training, being inside the quantum realm, fighting alongside with her father. I love that dynamic. Some of the freedom fires were pretty funny, uncanny. The one that was like sort of like the ooze, that was putting the ooze in their mouth, that way they could speak with them. I was just like, that's hilarious. That's gas. Like the whole way it was like a ritual, the way it was presented. And I'm sorry, I'm going a bit everywhere. That was pretty gas. And a little bit before, the way to get into the quantum realm, I appreciated how quick it was. They didn't spend 30 years until it finally picks up. It's like within the first 10 minutes, we in there for the reason, signal, bada bing, bada boom, good deal. Now, one thing that again takes a hit is Janet and Kang. Their relationship together feels intimate whenever they're stuck in the quantum realm and they're working on Kang's chair in order for him to be able to time travel, for him to go into other realities and dimensions. And you can sort of see this sense of camaraderie, intimacy, and friendship building up until she finds out who he really is. And then that's whenever it's just like, all right, now you know, she ruins his chair, that way he stays stuck in there. And I felt if we would have just removed a lot of the vagueness, a lot of the memory loss when it comes to Kang, and just straight up, all right, this is who he is, bring that in with the movie, push it forward, so whenever it does come time for everyone to meet up, It just happens at a lot faster pace. And Kang, Jonathan Isaac. I believe Jonathan Isaac, right? I don't want to butcher his name. Jonathan Majors. Crazy performance, menacing, insane range, loving the composure throughout the beginning of the movie up until the end when it reaches a boiling point to where he's not able to handle this anymore. He's officially enraged, he's mad, and the composure starts to lapse leaking, and we just see his wrath just going everywhere. As far as how this impacts the overall storyline, we come to understand that in the post-credit end scene, the Kang dynasty is officially being shown. Scott Lang, even though he defeated him, locked him away in that, I'm forgetting the name of that, I don't know. He gets locked away in this sort of prism. Is he still lingering in his head because he doesn't know if by defeating him this way, it's gonna cause Kang to come back, another variant. So that paranoia sticks with him. And clearly, it looks like Jonathan Majors, Kang, is gonna come back, and from here on it's gonna be hectic. First review, I've had the structure in certain ways. I hope y'all appreciate it. And with that, my overall thoughts, if I were to give this a rating, Ant-Man Quantumania is a solid 8 out of 10.